welcome to Small Biz Talk, celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month. Being a Latina-owned, it's important to us to uplift the Hispanic community while providing advice to aspiring entrepreneurs and creatives. Today, we have a very special guest with us, Alberto Escobedo, content creator and photographer.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So do you prefer us calling you Alberto or Berto?
You could call me Berto.
Berto,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So before we get started, Berto, we're going to play a little game of this or that.
Okay, cool.
So, he or ja.
I love hee. You can literally ask any of my friends. I'm always like, hee.
I love it when I get your text and you're like, hee. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. Sony or Canon?
Ooh, honestly, that's a hard one. But I think Canon has my heart. Canon for sure.
All creatives. Our next one for you is sombrero de vaquero or trucker hat?
Ooh, you know what? I wear both of them for like different occasions, but I feel like un sombrero for sure.
Hey! And our last one for you is filter or raw?
You know what? I love me a filter, but you have to like bring it down to like 20% like capacity, so it's not too filtered. But I'm not gonna lie, I do love me a filter.
So it's Hispanic Heritage Month. Tell us a little bit about your roots, your background.
Yes. So I'm 100% Mexican. My family is from Jerez, Zacatecas.
Okay.
Both of my parents were born in the same town. So I'm Mexicano, Latino. Pretty much grew up, with my heritage and everything. My mom, Spanish was my first language.
Oh, no way.
So I grew up speaking Spanish, and it wasn't until I was in elementary school that I was in the combination classes.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, English and Spanish. And then eventually, like, I'm not gonna lie, after elementary, that's all you just spoke English. So I feel like I definitely understand Spanish and I speak it. I could read it. There's just times I'm like, the words I'm like, no sé, So I had to like just add the I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Sabo kid sometimes, But Spanish
Same.
was my first language and I could communicate, But yes, I grew up, Mexican in a Mexican household.
Yeah.
I'm the youngest out of 4 siblings, only boy. But yeah.
I love that because I see sometimes you with your family, and it seems like you guys have a big family.
No, yeah, my dad. So yeah, they're definitely like Mexican. Like when you think of Mexican families, you think big families. Yes, like my dad had 8 siblings, and my mom there was 12 of them.
Oh my gosh.
So I have so many cousins on my mom's side, so many cousins on my dad's side. But yeah, I feel like I always grew up being around my family. I'm very family oriented. Some of you guys may know some of my cousins, like Valeria. They're more like my sisters. We live like 4 blocks away from each other. So I technically, anyone asks me, I'm like, I have 7 sisters, So definitely family oriented, always hanging out and just,
Yeah. I love that about you. I love seeing your family, like you posting up about your family. I think that's important quality to have, I think, in a person, especially being Latino.
Oh, of course, yes.
How has your Hispanic roots inspired your creativity?
You know what? Growing up, I feel like being around so many cousins and being around so many family members, you kind of just look up to them and kind of just like, vibe off of them.
Yeah.
I feel like for the most part, my family is very creative, whether it's, like doing art or, party planning. If you guys ever see our parties, like everyone's like, okay, you have this job, doing like arts and crafts. So I feel like just being around my family and like, just like kind of feeding off their vibe does inspire me to be creative. And I just feel like my roots, because I feel like Latinos and like Mexican culture, everything's so bright and vibrant. And, I feel like I do look up to that and I do get inspired by a lot of it.
Yeah, and I see that you get to work with Valeria, your cousin, right?
Cousin, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I love seeing you guys collaborate with one another.
Yeah. I mean, if you see us, we do fight. I mean, like, we fight like siblings, and I mean, that is Latino character, like, community, all family, Mexican families, they're lying if they don't say they fight. So it's, like, funny if you go to the store and we're, like, arguing.
No.
It's all playful, so.
No, that has to be fun. Was being creative embraced in your, like, upbringing?
You know what? I feel like, so my family or my sisters were first generation here.
Okay.
So obviously my parents came to, the U.S. with trying to, like, obviously, how everyone does, the American dream to provide for the family and to have a better life. So I do I don't want to say my parents are, so my mom passed away when I was 13 and then my dad when I was 21. So my dad was there when I was in college.
Yeah.
I don't want to say he wasn't supportive, but I feel like he did always question, because I was a digital media arts major. So he did question, like, what do you want to do with it? Like, is it going to, are you going to bring in income?
Yeah.
So I feel like he did have that doubt because, Mexican families are like either a teacher, a doctor, the stuff that are going to be bringing the money and it's going to be stable.
Yeah.
So I feel like he did worry for me. But I never it was never like he was never supported of like me being a photographer or me doing, the creative side of media. But I feel like my family, my sisters have always been supportive. Even though, my dad was like a man of no words. So even him like not saying it, I felt supported.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like definitely my family does support what I do and I'm passionate for it,
Yeah, I always feel like I see your sisters always cheering you on, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. And obviously, yeah, it was like hard because, I did have times I did doubt myself, but it was when my dad was sick and my major did take so much time out of my life, So I was like, damn, can I help, take him to appointments? Can I do that? So I did have a lot of doubt in myself when I was in college. I was like, damn, should I just do something that's going to be more stable? But my sister was always like, if this is what you're passionate about, then do it, Like, don't pay attention to, obviously, like, yeah, help out around, but, like, if this is what you're passionate about, then, pursue it.
Yeah, I feel like they always say, if you love what you do, you're never going to work a day in your life.
Of course, yeah.
Would you say in college you knew that you always wanted to be, like, in the digital space?
Yeah, so I went in to college as a PR major.
Oh.
And then 3 years in, I was like, I want to do more hands-on stuff. So I ended up switching over to digital media arts, focus on television and film production.
Okay.
So it was definitely, my freaking, what is it called? My department was definitely not updated. It was very like, the director was like into this old style. So, I learned how to edit a Blu-ray. Like, that was one of my projects. I had to make the Blu-ray, I had to make the menus. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, I don't even own a Blu-ray,
You'd be like, I could work for Redbox.
Yeah. So he was very old school, but I feel like it did teach me the basics of stuff of composition and, lighting.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely I did want to do more hands-on because I love movies. I was really into, for a little bit, I wanted to do music videos.
What?
I just love like the just so like, I feel like music videos like don't even have anything to do with the lyrics, but as long as it's like visually appealing, it's like, it's good, So
You want to be partying on those sets,
huh?
huh?
Right? I'm like, I'm gonna have a backup dancer. But yeah, I feel like I definitely was passionate about it, and like, it was very last minute when I did change my major. It literally was like a week before the semester ended, and I was gonna go into my last 2 years. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it.
No way.
Yeah.
That's good to know, because I feel like a lot of times people think like, oh, if you go, you're set on one major.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you followed your heart.
That was cool. Yeah.
Who has pushed you to be the creative that you are today?
I feel like obviously like my family has pushed me to be the best version I can of myself, but I feel like also just me, because I want to be the best and I want to be able to put 100% into everything I do. So I feel like I definitely motivate myself to, just be more active or put myself out there in like, uncomfortable situations, or just like if I don't know anyone at an event, kind of just like go introduce myself to people. Yeah. So I feel like it's more definitely like 100% like I'm motivated to be the best version of myself and to be like the creative that I know I could be.
That's great that you have that. I think a lot of the times people like second guess themselves.
Yeah.
How would you, do you like create short-term goals for yourself, or?
Yes and no. You know what? I feel like up until this year, I didn't believe in like manifestation, but I feel like with everyone I've been working with for the past like year, I'm like, oh shit, I feel like it is like a thing, even if you don't like manifest or even don't put it out there in the universe, like every day, I feel like as long as you just like think it and you believe it, I feel like for the most part it's gonna come true,
This is your year, Berto. I'm like, I have been working with such amazing brands and people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in awe and so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I definitely have come full circle. It's like a full circle moment, and yeah, I'm like excited too. There's still 4 more months, so we'll see what else.
What's next?
What's next, But yeah, definitely proud of myself, pat in the back.
You deserve it.
So, yeah, thank you.
So you have shared with me before that you used to work for Sony. What made you take that leap to, I guess, work independently? And
So yes, I did work for Sony. I worked for Sony Electronics in a department called Digital Media Production Center. So there, I did help with a lot of events. I did do a lot of stuff with the cameras.
Okay.
But I actually didn't decide to leave. I actually got furloughed.
Oh.
So I started off as a front desk admin, and me being there and kind of just being good at my job and being persistent bumped me up to be at the spot that I was before I left, which was marketing assistant.
Okay.
So I was there for like a month, and I literally was about to freaking get a desk in the back. Like I had my desk in the front, and I got a desk in the back, and then the pandemic hit. And I did work 2 months from home, but then eventually they were like, we don't have you in the budget, you know? It's like most of my stuff was in person.
Yeah.
So I got furloughed. But I did decide to kind of just pursue my own because they did ask me to come back twice. And they're like, come on, like, we want you back, but
they're like, we have your desk in the back ready.
Yeah, they're like, we have your desk in the back. But I feel like the clients I was working with decided to match what I was going to get.
Yeah.
And I was able to, like, you know what? No, I want to pursue, being my own boss and kind of just doing what I'm doing right now.
That's so great, because I feel like a lot of the times people are like, oh, I want that full like benefit experience. I want that 9 to 5 clock in, clock out.
And I feel like honestly that month, the time that they called me back, I literally was like, I did not know what I wanted to do. I was like talking to my friends, I was talking to my sisters. I was like, what do I want? Do I want something stable with like benefits, or do I want to like work for myself and like be happy? You know, there's like so many factors into it that I was just like, you know what? Again, angel numbers. I kept seeing 444 and like 555, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take it. And I ended up telling them like, thank you for the opportunity, but I think I'm gonna stay in.
Politely decline it, huh?
Yeah, and be like, stay true to myself. So yeah, but it definitely was scary, you know, because obviously like most of my sisters work for the city, so they are working full time. They have the benefits, so it is scary, you know. But I feel like I'll take the risk.
I can definitely relate. I feel like I had my dad, he'd always be like, you need to work for the county or city, and I'm just like, what? No, I'm a creative, like never.
You're like, no, I can't sit on a desk.
I'd be a sellout.
I want to be a star. Definitely agree with that.
So when did it click to you that being a content creator and photographer would be full time?
I feel like it wasn't until like a couple months ago. You know, I feel like I'm fortunate enough to Erica, I work part-time with her, and I feel like she's so open to me like taking on different clients and, you know, me taking on my own work. I feel like I definitely am blessed that she is so lenient with me, you know, and like so open. But I feel like it wasn't until like lately that I was just like, okay, you know, I feel like this could be definitely like a full-time thing and like make my living off of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, I'm not saying like get work, you know, every freaking day, you know. Definitely Erica's more like my part-time stuff, and then all my other clients are, I feel like they're like bi-weekly or monthly.
Yeah.
So there's times that I feel like it's slow, but luckily I have that to fall back onto, you know, like that I do. She's like a consistent client with me that I'm like working. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, how do you manage your time? Like, obviously you have your part-time, right? So how do you like fit in your other clients?
Yeah, so luckily it does work out that the store is closed like Sundays and Mondays. Those are days that, yeah. And then obviously it's just like I just make sure that I go, you know, 3 or 4 hours out of the day to kind of just go do content at the store or do whatever I need to do with the soiree. Yeah. And luckily I could do most of the stuff I do with her as long as I have the content. It's like I could do it on my own time.
Yeah.
But I feel like lately just like I just been more into scheduling. It's kind of like, okay, Mondays I'm gonna, you know, do this for this client and kind of just like, you know, plan out my week for them. And then it's like really consistent with like with Erica, it's just like, okay, we drop on Fridays, we shoot on this day, you know, edit and kind of just like put out the content. Yeah. And then also the soiree too. The soiree is very like, okay, accept people 3 weeks before, make sure they're paying and kind of just like answer emails, make the map, you know, 2 days before. So I feel like it's all routine stuff. So I feel like it's not too much of a hassle to kind of just like, you know, just plan it out and kind of just like making sure that I'm like giving enough time for everyone.
Are you more of like a digital planner, or like do you need like your pen and paper?
You know what? I try to do pen and paper just because like, oh, it's so cute, you know, go ahead and find a planner, but I end up using it for like a week and then forget about it. But honestly, like Google Calendar. Google Calendar is my like favorite, and I just like color coordinate. Like, okay, you know, this is my personal stuff, this is my work, and then, you know, Erica,
No, same. I think in-house we all use Google Calendar as well, and I'm like, don't look at my calendar if you don't want to get scared. But
Right. I'm just like, okay, what do I have today? But yeah, I think definitely calendar is more of a thing and kind of just like planning out. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm like, I know I have to do this on Friday, and it's like it's on my calendar, but it's like a mental note, and like in the back of my head, it's like I need to do work. I need to do this work, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's times like, oh, you want to go do this? Sorry, I have to edit. You know, it's because I know that I'm like I have a timeline in my head, but sometimes I don't actually like put it out anywhere. You know, it's just like all in my head, like mentally. And sometimes it's a lot, but I'm like I should make my life easier, you know, and actually put everything out, but. I love living life on the edge, you know?
That's, wait, what's your sign?
I'm a Gemini.
Oh, there you go. That's why.
So until my clients like text me like, hey, what's the update? I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, oh yeah, tonight. But no, I make sure I get everything in a timely manner, you know? For sure. I whenever anyone asks me, I'm like, give me a week. Like, because I know I'm going to do everything within the week, you know?
Well, I feel like the shoots that I've seen you do with Erica for 11/11, like I guess, what would you call it? Like, the amount of time that you need for post-production is quick.
Oh, for sure. It's just like, honestly, at 11/11, I'm everything. I'm the stylist, I'm the photographer, I'm the creative director. So it's pretty much just like, okay, girls, bring this. We take the photos. You know, I get inspo and just it's all really fast, you know? It's like, because by the time we're done, it's like, okay, I need to post that. We're dropping this, you know, in 4 days. So I feel like it's very fast. Like, you know, unless it's like, a collection that we take time with and like we want to like make it a certain type of vibe. I feel like for the most part everything's just very fast paced.
How have you liked wearing like multiple hats?
I enjoy it, you know, because I mean I love being in charge, you know. It's not even like I'm like being bossy and stuff like that, but just like I definitely like being like, you know,
and like creative control.
Yeah, for sure. So I like it, you know. I like wearing different roles, and I mean the girls will sometimes say I get mean at shoots. I'm like, why are you guys laughing? Go shoot this, and like, but it's all like because it's like we only have this studio for 2 hours, and you're over here yapping for 20. It's like I need to make sure I get the stuff I have. You know, it's all fun and games.
I'm like, I hope my team is hearing this. It's not just me, guys.
But it's not even like being mean. You know, it's like we had to get the work done.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Obviously, yes, it's fun, but it's like I have to get all the stuff I need. You know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I feel like it's a role of someone who's producing, you're creative directing, and like you have assets that you have to deliver at the end of the day.
So it's all fun. Yeah.
What does a typical day look like for Berto?
Ooh, I feel like such a hard question because it just depends on if I have a lot of shoots at like during the week or what I have on that day. But I'll kind of just put it more aside for like the past 2 weeks. So I pretty much wake up. You guys are gonna judge me every time I wake up.
No judgment here.
I'm like, everyone knows, don't text me or anything before 9. I'm like, I need to sleep until 9. But I wake up, I literally, as soon as I wake up, I go on Instagram and I check all the accounts I have. And right now I'm running 4 accounts.
Oh my gosh, Berto.
So it's pretty much just like going to see who DM'd, kind of just anything that I need to do. And then get ready. Depending if I have a shoot or not, then I do like working from home, but also I'm like, I like going to the store because the girls are there, Lauren's there from UNI. So I just like interacting with people.
Like collaborating.
And collabing, it's like rather than being home by myself, it's like, let me go work. And then Equimix is there, so I always get coffee.
Delicious.
But I'll head over to 11:11, and then I'll probably just be there for about like 4 hours. And then it all changes depending if I have shoots or not. Mm-hmm. But I'll just get content. And then throughout the day, I make sure that I checked those accounts at least like 4 or 5 times a day, just to make sure that I'm like constantly keeping up with DMs or reposting stuff. And then for each account, I at least like to, for 11:11, I post at least twice or 3 times a day. Okay. And then the other one, so one's a weed brand. So I'm trying to figure it out.
Hey, there you go.
It's Erica's fiance, Papo. So I'm still trying to figure out content-wise because I'm like, I'll smoke every so often, but I don't really know about it, know?
Well, and I feel like IG's kind of this doesn't favor the content as much.
So, and then definitely a lot of my stuff gets flagged. I'm like, really? I'm not even like putting anything like bad out there. But I try to post for them at least 3 times a week. Okay. So them is kind of just checking if people are like posting. And then I just got new accounts with Desi. So I'm running Desi, Desi Skin and Desi. And there I'm posting once a day and then just constantly reposting when people get tagged and like answering DMs.
How is that? So like, I feel like sometimes there's some accounts that have ton of engagement. And
Yeah, that's definitely, those two accounts definitely have a lot of engagement. It's just like constantly people tagging or, you know, posting stories and tagging. So it's just kind of just like interacting with them because they definitely want to be more community based right now. So it's just kind of just interacting with people, reposting them, and then just making sure that I'm like posting on feed. But with them, definitely I plan out the feed for a week.
Okay.
And it gets approved. So on Planoly, I just plan out everything. I set out the captions, they get approved, and then it's kind of just posting on my own time. So they like certain times that they like to get posts. So it's kind of just like making sure I post on those times.
So you do your social strategy like on a weekly basis?
Yeah, for the most part, for at least them, yes.
Okay.
Just because everything has to kind of be pre-approved before I actually post. When it comes to like reposting, it's like as long as it's like, you know, if it's the vibe of the company, then it's good. But yeah.
How would you say you identify like a brand's tone since you're managing like several different accounts and industries?
Luckily with the two new accounts I have, they're very organized. So I got, you know, a bunch of forms and stuff like that that have like just the brand's like statement and like, you know, what they represent. Yeah. So I feel like it definitely makes it easier to kind of just like, you know, put out the feed or plan out the feed because it's like I already have, you know, like the background of it. Luckily for 1111, I was part of the process, you know, so it's easy. You know, I feel like me and Erica, for the most part, have the same vibe. Yeah. So she trusts me.
Yeah, you guys have a great dynamic, I think.
Oh, for sure. I'm blessed to have her in my life and like for her trusting me with her brand. The only one I'm having trouble with is definitely the weed one. Like I get the vibe, but I'm also like, I don't know how to do stuff, you know, like make it aesthetic. Do I make it, you know, like macho? Like I don't know.
It's all about the terps, okay.
So definitely, I think it's fun, you know. It's like something different, you know, because either working with fashion or jewelry. So it's cool working with something different, you know.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes as creatives, we just have to like stimulate a whole nother side or with another industry.
Yeah. So it's cool, yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that, Berto. Does Berto take a break?
No, I'm just kidding. I mean, like when there's no stories, yes. You know what? For the most part, I try to make it like, you know, I have my me time. You know, like I'm not gonna, you know, work tonight. I'm gonna watch Netflix and just chill. But for the most part, I feel like I do a good job of, you know, making sure I get my stuff done and still having, you know, enough time. Lately, I've been playing tennis, so I feel like it's like that's my me time. I'm not good, but
Berto Williams,
right? I know. Me and my cousin are always like, I'm Venus and you're Serena. You know, we're like fight who's who. But I feel like that's definitely a time that I'm like, okay, that's like my me time. You know, I'm having fun, like not worrying about anything. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like I do try to make sure that I have time for myself. That I'm not like overworked and yeah.
Because I think as creatives, it's like burnout. You have to stimulate yourself and really just disconnect.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this earlier. Like burnout's real. Like.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Do you think when it gets busier for you, like, is it more of a challenge like during those busy seasons? Like we're about to come up to holiday season. Yeah.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I love working. I love like procrastinating and working like under pressure. Yes, I love working under pressure. I feel like it makes me kind of just like, okay, you know, I get pumped. But there's times I'm like, oh, there's too much, like, you know. But for the most part, I feel like I could definitely handle working under pressure. But yeah, hopefully I'm like, I have had times that it's just like crazy amount of like shoots and like and they all want the deliverables by the same day.
At the same time.
So I'm just like, damn, you know. But I feel like I work with it, and you know, I'm lucky enough that I have other creatives that, you know, Natalia, I don't know if you met her. She works at Shop Small Soiree. She helps me.
Oh, yes.
So I've asked her to help me with some shoots, or she'll come with the 1111. Because sometimes it just helps, like, having other people there, you know. And like
someone to assist you.
Someone to assist me, you know. So she's helped me before. Lauren has helped me before. So, yeah.
What would you say, I mean, now that you're talking about people who have assisted you, like, what's it like delegating tasks to others? Like, do you think it's been a learning curve? Or?
Oh, for sure. I feel like I wouldn't have asked them to help me on this stuff if I didn't trust them, you know? And I feel like for the most part, they have the same aesthetic, they have the same eye as I do. So I feel like hopefully they don't think I'm putting a lot of pressure on them. I mean, I've never asked them, but it's definitely helps out when the person thinks like you know? Yeah. If that makes sense. So I feel like for the most part, it's kind of just like them being the second camera or them getting a different angle that I wouldn't have gotten, you know? Yeah. And just having, the more content you have, the better, you know? Because
seriously.
It's like for every like 100 photo, there's like 3 good ones, you know? I mean, you guys can relate to that, so.
Yeah. No, that's great. Like, let's say if someone wanted to ask how could they assist you? Like, what are some skill sets you think they should know or have?
That's a hard question. I don't know. If someone wanted to assist me, honestly, for the most part, I'm like, if like someone asked me, like, I wouldn't mind, like, I was just like, if they wanted to like assist me, I feel like I like teaching people stuff, and it's funny because I've been on set and like I do most of my stuff, like I do stuff on like my camera, but like most of the social stuff is like on my phone, it's on my digital camera, on my camcorder. And it's funny just seeing these people. It's like I do the most random stuff on my phone and it's like, you could do that? Or like, how'd you do that? How'd you zoom in so fast? I'm just like, I don't know, it just comes easy to me. And it's like I teach these little tricks that I have to these people and they're just like think it's like the most like amazing thing ever.
Yeah, you need to teach like a mobile phone class, Berto.
Honestly, most of my stuff is my phone, so I'm like, I love my phone. So, and it's funny because people are like, "Oh, do you have the same phone? Like, why does your quality look better?" And they were like, "What's your settings?"
Yeah,
and I'm like,
"What's your settings?"
My settings, and I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, maybe my phone just has magic powers. Like, But I feel like for the most part, I don't require anything. I mean, if someone wanted to work with me,
Yeah.
I feel like I would teach them. And as long as they know the basics of, how to turn on a camera and like, how to turn on a flash, then like, I feel like I could probably work with them.
Yeah. How do you stay up to date with like things evolving in this creative space?
Yeah, just browsing on TikTok, browsing on TikTok, browsing on Pinterest. I feel like there's so many amazing creators, on all these apps that it's just like, I mean, I don't know everything, my craft is not perfected. There's so much I could learn. So I feel like I just enjoy watching these videos or watching these tutorials of people like, oh, this is how you do this transition or this is how you do. So I feel like just like being on, social media, definitely keep up with trends and all of that. I have a love and hate relationship with TikTok. I can't figure it out, but I enjoy browsing. I enjoy seeing other creatives, But yeah, I feel like definitely just social media is where I kind of like stay with trends and seeing what's on and popping.
Yeah. No, I feel like your TikToks are witty and they're funny. Like,
I mean, it's funny though. It's like it's always like the most random ones that like are the ones that like get the views. It's like not like the ones that I'm like taking my time, making sure it's aesthetic. You're
like, this one took me 5 minutes and it went viral.
Yeah. So I'm like, you're so strange, TikTok. But
now that you're working with different brands and clients, like, how do you keep their content different from one another? Like,
yeah, I think it definitely depends on just, like we said, the vibe and like I guess like the statement of the brand and like what they believe in, because I mean they all have different beliefs and they all have different objectives of what they're trying to portray or put out for them. So I think for the most part all the brands are like different, so it's like skincare, glasses, it's like they all correlate but they all have their own identity. So I feel like for the most part I do know like how to like distinct them, and be like, okay, for this I'm gonna do this, and for this one it's like fashion, so I guess I still am trying to like find that out myself, but I feel like for the most part I know what everyone needs. And just making sure it like doesn't overlap with each other.
No, absolutely. I feel like sometimes when we work on our clients and I'm like mid-project, I'm like, oh, wait, this would be great for that client. So I'm like, save that.
I know there's sounds. I'm like, will they see that I use the same sound? But I'm like, it's like a trending sound. So, but no, for the most part, it's like, I don't ever like, okay, this idea I'm going to use for this one too,
Yeah.
So I feel like I kind of just keep everything like distinct, or like, this is for this brand, this is for this brand, and not mixing them.
How do you overcome being in a creative rut? Like, what do you do to stay inspired or motivated?
Yeah. You know what? I feel like from the top of my head, I can only think of one time that I was in a creative rut, and I feel like that was like quarantine of COVID. And I feel like there's just like a lot of stuff going on. But I feel like I kind of just like took a break, I didn't post, I didn't do anything, kind of just like have me time. And I feel like slowly you'll just get out of it, I feel like there's not really that I could be like, okay, you have to do this and do that. I feel like you kind of just have to like take your time, do you, and eventually the ideas will just come to you.
Yeah. I guess to add to it, like, how do you stay inspired?
I don't know. I feel like...
Are you on like Pinterest? Or
I feel like I love Pinterest. Like I said, I get inspired by other creators, like I said, like on all the social apps. And I feel like, just hanging out with my family and stuff like that. You never know when you're out and about and you like see something that's like, oh, that's cool, and like it kind of just like sparks your brain to like, okay, maybe I could do this and do that. So I feel like I don't look at like stuff to get inspired. I kind of just like browse, and then if it comes to my head, then like, okay, perfect,
So you just like ingest whatever you see.
I just ingest and just, do everything as your normal life, and then I feel like for me it just comes to you, you know.
Yeah, you're like, I'm naturally creative.
No, but it's crazy because it's like even like in my car when like I put shuffle and like there's a song like, okay, the song would look so good with like, you know, a video for 11:11, you know, or like, oh, if I do this, you know, I think it comes to random that I'm just like, it just like sparks, you know. I don't know how to explain it.
I've noticed that because I feel like sometimes I've heard like a throwback on a song and I'm like, oh, like that was a really cool song, but to see it in this piece of content, like,
yeah, it works, you know.
Yeah. Do you say that you analyze like content, like seeing the transitions, or you think about like, oh, that what kind of lighting did they use?
Yes, for the most part, yeah. There's always something like, oh, I'm like, why does the picture look like that? Like, what am I doing wrong? But for the most part, it's kind of just like seeing it and seeing what I could take. And honestly, that's what I'm like, I love about like working with other creatives, because there's like also stuff that I learn from them and seeing how they do stuff, seeing how they do the lighting, or seeing how they, you know, make the video. And it's like, okay, you know, like that's different. Like maybe I should try that, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of just taking little like tricks and stuff from other people and applying it to make it your own.
What would you say is your preferred type of lighting?
Natural lighting. Honestly, you can tell anyone. I started using flash, but honestly, like big studio lights scare me.
Really?
I'm like, I want to learn how to. And I had this conversation with you. Like, I want to learn how to use studio lights and
yes, I remember now.
But I'm just like, natural lighting is like my theme.
Berto, you have always been invited here.
I know. I'm gonna have to come and get a little 101 with you guys.
Yes.
But they just like, I don't know. There's just something about it that I'm just like, and like if I can't figure it out, it's just like I'm like, you know, it like irritates me.
No, I feel like with lighting, you just have to. I was really scared at first. I was even nervous how to tether when I first started.
No, and I see when you do your like days of life, and like you went to like. You did stack delays and you were tethered. I'm like, I want to do that, but I'm like, everything scares me when it comes to stuff like that. So I'm just like, I'll just manually put it on my computer.
I'll definitely teach you, Berto.
So I'm gonna have to come back.
Are there any challenges that you face as a Latino in the creative space?
I feel like not me personally, but I do see the lack of representation, you know, and just seeing all these other creators that, you know, aren't people of color, you know, kind of getting the spotlight and stuff like that. It does, you know, make you feel some type of way. Yeah. But I feel like it's just like staying true to yourself and just making sure that you represent your like heritage and represent your culture. Then I feel like it's fine. You know, eventually the people that want to see your content and people that, you know, enjoy watching you will find you. And, you know.
Yeah. I think too, like it's important that us as Hispanics support one another.
Oh, of course, that too. Whether it's like reposting, commenting, you know, like anything helps, you know, and anyone's like content or anyone's, you know, projects for sure. Yeah. And I feel like for the most part, like working with small businesses, I feel like you do kind of just get brought into this community of everyone supporting each other. I feel like I've never encountered anyone in the small business community, you know, that isn't willing to, you know, comment or repost or, you know, interact with your posts to kind of just like make sure you're reaching a bigger audience.
Yeah, and I feel like yes, you work for Shop Small Soiree, but you've made such an impact. The fact that behind the scenes you're helping produce this event where it's allowing us to be part of this community.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So I think it's great that you do that for us. I know it takes a lot of work, Berto, but we appreciate you for it. Any wins or accomplishments that you feel like most proud of?
I think definitely just working with the like creators that I have worked with over the past, you know, few months, you know, being able to do Karen's wedding, it was definitely like full circle, working with Let's Do Makeup, you know, and then of course Desi. So I just think seeing these people that I grew up watching YouTube and, you know, I grew up, you know, with, I think it's amazing that I have the opportunity to work with them and, you know, learn from them. I feel like that's definitely like a proud moment for sure.
No, and I had seen you like covering Karen's like wedding, and then I was just like, I am so proud of him. And the fact that we were like talking about how wedding content like behind the scenes is huge.
Prior to that, I did Laura's too. Laura.
Oh, yes.
Thank you, Laura. I did Laura's, but Laura's I was definitely half content and I was half invited. Okay. So I got to party. And it was a good party. Let me say that.
It looked fun.
But prior to that, I did, you know, we did have the conversation. I got asked by, her name is Sam, Sandwich. She works for Miss Lola. her friend was getting married, and she referred to me, and I was like, I've never done this before, and I was like, sure, like I'll do it. And literally it was the day before I left to Italy, and I was like, sure, I'll do it. And it was fun. Like I feel like it took off the pressure of like being the photographer. And actually, I did get the shots. Obviously, it's so easy to pull out your phone and and I got a lot of good content. And it was just from there. It was just like, okay, Laura's, and then Karen's, and after Karen's, I had a bunch of people who like are hitting me up. I'm just like, I don't know if I want to go that route.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of definitely like seeing the options and picking and choosing, I guess you could say. But I feel like it's definitely cool. It's a cool opportunity, but I don't know if I see myself making like a living off of like doing wedding content.
Yeah. I mean, you're great at your content, so commend you on that.
Thank you.
What have been like your proudest moment as a Latino creative?
I think definitely proud moments is just like making my family proud, or like making like my friends proud, I think that's definitely rewarding to me, I feel like there's not necessarily something that like, oh, I did that, I'm like proud, It's just more like my surroundings and just having the support that I have that makes me want to keep going. And after my podcast with my friends, my sister texted me this long message, and she's like, I'm so proud of you, and she like went on, and I think that's what just kind of gives me the fuel to keep going, because it's like, it's like, oh, my sister's proud of me, or it's like, okay, it's a nice reward to hear that, because like we're always fighting, we're always like arguing, so it's like seeing a different side of them, is
that's special.
I don't cry, but I'm like,
but did she make you cry?
I actually was in Palm Springs, and I was like, girl, I'm buzzed, like you're gonna make me cry.
So what was it like to creative direct and model in your collaboration with Casablanca?
Honestly, it was cool. When Priscilla and Irene had brought it up to me, they were like, oh, are you down to do it? And I was like, I've never done anything like this. I'm like, I'm not an influencer, but yeah, I'm down, And I think they do such a great job of taking your inspo and creating it and like making it, like me. I give them a bunch of inspo. I literally went one of the days, they had like 40 necklaces out there, and they're like, okay, what do you want? And I was like, okay, I like this, I like that. There's a different pendant on this. And I was like, I don't like that, let's do this one instead. So it was definitely cool calling the shots, and being able to collaborate with them to make it mine. Obviously shooting was a little hard because I definitely wanted to be like, okay, let me see how it's looking, I wanted to take control.
Like, let me shift you a little bit.
Yeah, but Lauren did a good job. Lauren actually took the camera, but I set it up for her, and I was like, okay, just hold it here and take the photo. So it definitely was a little difficult, I guess you could say, because I was like, I couldn't see how the photos were looking. But ultimately, I got to pick the best photos. I got to pick the best videos. So it was cool being able to, do that rather than them hiring someone else to do it, you know? So it was cool, being able to call the shots for that and being, the creative director for it.
Would you say when you're creative directing, like, do you plan your photo or like your shots in advance, or like?
Yeah, so I definitely had given them like a little board with like inspo shots and inspo like video shots for the reel. So I did have somewhat planned. Honestly, when you get there, stuff happens. So we got there late, and then it ended up just being like the time wasn't enough, and we couldn't extend. So it was a little difficult, and like I wish we would have gotten more shots, but I feel like you kind of just work with what you got.
Yeah, and the photos came out great. Like they were.
Yeah, Lauren did a good job.
I love the vibes, the tones, even your pieces. I think they were all so well thought out. Yeah, like the pearls were big for summer.
No, literally, I was like, the amount of love it got. I was so shook when they told me we sold out. I was like, be fucking for real, like, so it was awfully like an amazing moment, so, and I mean, still selling, so I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
You guys can still buy this, use code Berto.
Wearing one
but
today.
It was definitely cool, but obviously if you were there, like, you would see, like, okay, I took the photos, I was like, okay, like, switch the camera, and then I started taking pictures of Valeria and Lauren, so I still got to, take direction into it, but it was cool.
Sounds like a really fun experience.
No, it definitely was. And it's more fun because when you feel comfortable with, the people. And it's like, I love Priscilla, I love Irene. Forever grateful for them for even allowing me to, to do this. So.
No, I think you were perfect for it. And you deserve your moment, Berto. So who would you like to work with next?
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like right now I'm kind of just.
You're like, I have all the
taking
queens.
in like the joy of everyone who I've worked with. But I don't know. I feel like maybe. I'm like,
manifest it.
Manifest it. I feel like, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, who do I want to work with?
I'll get back pressure.
To you.
Okay.
I'm like, I don't know.
How about, do you foresee like yourself doing like another collaboration in the future?
I mean, yeah, I feel like if anyone would ever want to, I feel like it was definitely fun. I don't know what else, to collaborate, but I feel like I'm definitely open to anything right now,
We need some like fashion pieces.
I know, right? I'm like, coffee by Jess. Wink, wink.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, honestly, whoever wants, do something, and definitely open to it. I feel like right now I'm kind of just like, yes to everything.
Yes, we love that. So where is Berto in the next 5 years?
I feel like I see myself in the next 5 years having my own company, whether it's, a media company or, running people's Instagrams. I feel like I see myself doing something with that sort of route. So hopefully, just to be my own boss and, to be able to work with other creatives and teach or, if anyone ever needs something, me being a mentor to people. So I feel like that's where I kind of see myself, hopefully being a boss babe.
Hey.
But yeah.
I can definitely see you having your own company.
Keep doing what I like doing, and as long as I'm happy, I feel like that's all I really care.
Yeah. If you could give your younger self a small biz talk, what would it be?
I would just tell myself to not doubt myself. I feel like growing up and being in college, I definitely compared myself to other creatives and compared myself to other photographers, and I feel like that definitely stopped, my process in growing because I was always doubting myself. And I was like, whether it was like either doubting myself or even like if I did the shoot and I was like, oh, these are so ugly, I could have done better. So I feel like kind of just like believing in myself and, knowing that I could do it. Cause, half the time it's like I'm over here thinking all this stuff is ugly and the clients are like, oh, it's beautiful, I love it, But I think it was just that like lack of doubt that I had.
Yeah.
So I feel like just believing in myself and just always just taking, a chance on yourself and taking the leap, I guess.
Yeah, look how far it's gotten you.
I know.
And I just wanted to add, I feel like you have such a distinct style in your photos.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm like, I love seeing them. Even your videos, I'm like the transitions are insane.
That's how I feel about you guys. I really love all of your stuff.
Last question to you would be, what does Hispanic Heritage Month mean to you?
I think Hispanic Heritage Month means to me to just be proud of who you are, being proud of your heritage, I feel like growing up, I definitely was not embarrassed of being Mexican, but, it's like, obviously we are minorities in, the U.S., so kind of just being ashamed of, like, our roots and stuff like that was definitely, like, my upbringing, but I feel like as I got older, it's just, like, there's so many amazing things that we do, whether it's, like, during Christmas time when we do posadas and so many things that I'm like, whenever I do videos or recaps of my family stuff, people are like, oh my God, please adopt me, please, like, there's so many people that love our heritage and love what we do. I feel like there's no need to, be ashamed of it.
Exactly.
So I feel like just being proud of who we are and just being proud of being Mexican, I feel like that's what it means to me. And just keeping these traditions so for like the next generation, so that they're not forgotten.
Yeah, I love that. Beautifully said, Berto.
Thank you.
We wanted to say thank you so much for being here with us, Berto. We know that you're loved by so many people. I love you. Our whole Ooh I Love team loves you. And we're just happy that you said yes to being here with us. But before you go, we have a little recuerdo.
Ooh.
There's a little centerpiece for you
How
today.
cute. Thank you. And thank you guys, too. Thank you for thinking of me and allowing me to come here and, tell my story.
Yeah.
I definitely look up to all of you guys. Your guys' work is amazing. You guys are definitely always my inspo board as well. But thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you, Berto. Short nails or claws?
I guess in the past I would say long nails, but these days, this is a little short for me.